All right, guys, this is Valheim. We're coming back. This is going to be the basics video. We're here on a bright, very foggy morning, it looks like, here in Valheim. If you watched my previous video, just kind of the introduction of what Valheim is, a little bit over, character creation or whatnot. This video is going to be getting started. Things, if you're not familiar with the survival genre, gathering all the materials, things of that nature, and just some tips and tricks basically for getting started. The I'd say this is one of the survival games that people struggle with as far as how to start off. Some of the info is actually out there, but you got to dig through some of the menus and some of the lore stuff to kind of understand more of the game. But I'm going to be explaining all that as well. So let's get started. So we just started off. All we've got is a torch. Don't pay attention to mine being half broken up there in the corner. I had a boar that decided to get frisky before I got started, so he shall not be talked about. So anyway, let's get started. We're starting here. This little guy here, he wants to talk to us apparently, so let's go talk to him. All right. I'm guessing I might call him Huggin. It may be Hugin, but I might call him Huggin because that sounds cuter, I guess, right? I am Huggin, sent here to guide you in your travels. So this is the 10th world, apparently. The megaliths surrounding you are the sacrificial stones. They represent the Forsaken, which you must slay in order to ascend to Valhalla. All right, cool. Is that all you're going to tell me? Nope. Okay, apparently that... Oh, nope, now we got more to talk. I thought he had more. All right, what else are you going to teach us? This stone, and I'm going to apologize up front. I don't know how to pronounce all these weird names from North mythology. But anyway, this is Vegvisser, I'm guessing. These magical stones are scattered throughout the lands by Odin as signposts pointing towards the ritual grounds of the Forsaken. If inspected closer, this one will reveal the summoning place of Eikthyr, your first prey. He is a mighty beast, as you need to properly arm yourself before even attempting to defeat him. Alright, so that's the first guy, first boss, the Forsaken, that we have to fight. So, judging by the look of this, something to do with deer. They all have kind of a different picture on them, right? Alright, so getting started in a survival game. He tells us that's what we need to do. Looks like they're going to give us his location. Alright, so there on the map, you can see we flew in on the Valkyrie, got dropped off at this, like, starter stones, spawn stones here. It looks like this is going to be where we have to fight that boss. Good to know, so it's marked on the map. Little tip as well, in the maps, if you look in the top right corner up here, when I hover over a section, it says Meadows. That's all we have discovered right now, but it'll tell you what biome you're looking at, so it can be helpful, especially if you're sailing along the shore and you may not really discover part of the map. Like, say this was a different biome and you barely had the fog of war in there because you cruise by. Sometimes you can just get just the tip of your indicator on there and it'll tell you what biome that is, so it's a little helpful. So first things you want to do is you want to be gathering wood and stone, and we'll talk to him in just a minute. Yep, I was gonna say, I thought I saw some stone here, so go ahead and gather these. Look around. You want to grab berries, wood, stone, any of that stuff. So I'm grabbing those. You can see it pops up in the top left. When I pick something up, it will kind of show, and that indicates it's been added to your inventory. So I'm just running it along. We got some branches, some stone. All right, let's go ahead and talk to him. He's probably going to give us some more pointers. All right, take stock of your inventory. Most items must be crafted. However, due to your recent departure from Midgard, we will have to recall the true shape. Oh, you will have to recall the true shape of objects. Just pick things up and it will all come back to you, I'm sure. That is, I spoke about that a little bit in my intro video about how you just have to gather materials and you magically learn the recipes. It's a very handy way of doing it. You don't have to go out and search out recipes. So if it's a good way to boost your friends, if like say they haven't been on in a few days or they're a little bit behind, they can jump right into you or jump into your game, and as long as you have the items gathered already, they can take the items out of a box and instantly get all those recipes and are allowed to basically be caught up to you as far as progression goes to contribute. A lot of these survival games, a new player has to grind for quite a while before they actually get up to the point where they can craft a lot of things, and that's not the case in this game. Oh wait, I wasn't done talking to you, man. Well, okay, here he is. I guess he didn't like my story. All right. So you need to craft a hammer. I did have to craft one. I threw down a box to throw some of my stuff in. I gathered a few materials to get this going. So anyway, we have to make a hammer and then a workbench. So what we're going to do, there is a couple ways to gather wood. As you were seeing before, I was picking up, there are some branches, and there are rocks you can pick up as well. The other way of doing it is you can see these little trees. If you go over to them and get in a fight, that hopefully you'll win. There you go. See, I just got 3 wood. So once you have some wood, you press tab. That's how you get into your inventory. This is your inventory here on the left. These boxes along the top, that's your hotbar. That's where you can use all the number keys along the top of your keyboard to be able to switch between different consumables or tools or weapons, things of that nature. The boxes down below, this is all your inventory space. As you can see, we started off, all we have is a tunic. We don't even have pants yet, so we're kind of a sad excuse for Viking right now. We've gathered 7 wood and 4 stone. So the first thing, I don't believe a stone axe will be unlocked for you until you get enough stone for it to happen. But first thing you can build is a hammer. And that's what he was telling us. Now, you can go ahead and escape out of this. Now, at the top there, it automatically goes into your next open slot. So that's slot 2. So if I hit 2, there you go. And it brings up the last thing I crafted. I made a chest over there. So anyway, now you're into the crafting menu. If you notice in the bottom right, you have mouse 1 for placing items. Mouse 3, which is normally middle mouse button, that removes the item. So if you want to demolish it, or you can press mouse 3, or excuse me, mouse 2, which is your right click. There's also left shift that if you want to snap something, we'll get into that more in the base building. You can disable the snap if you want. So let's go into the crafting menu. So the first tab you have here, you have the repair option. That's the default. So if you just want to run around and repair stuff, that's the thing. It's a repair hammer plus a crafting hammer. So there's a few things off the bat that we can make. We make a campfire. I believe the raft is unlocked once you get leather scraps, and since I killed that boar, that unlocked. Some of these recipes might not be unlocked for you right away, but you will get the workbench and the cooking station right off the bat. Now we need to get 10 wood. Once we have 10 wood, we can make the workbench. That's our next goal right now, and you can look through some of these others, but we won't be worrying about that right now. So I'm going to go ahead and put number 2 away. I just hit the button again, or you can hit R, and that'll put whatever you have in your hands on your hip or back or however you would carry it. All right, let's talk to him. A tasty morsel. You have found a snack. Consume it to improve your health and stamina. Be aware that before long you will grow hungry again. So try to always have at least a couple different meals ready. So I'll go ahead and talk about this now. The way the food and the stamina system works, it doesn't level up with you. It's one of the few things that doesn't level it up. The neat thing is it's all based on consumables. Now, if you look in the bottom left-hand corner there, you have the red bar. That's your health. I only have 22. I think you spawn with 25, but I have no way of regenerating my health right now. I haven't eaten anything. So that's why it's stuck at 22 of 25. The next thing is your hunger or your food bar there. But I don't really pay attention to that. It fills up with some different indicators, but the main indicator you have to worry about are the 3 boxes on the left. You can have up to 3 consumables running at once as far as food goes, and they can be everything from stews to meat to raw resources like berries, mushrooms. There's a whole bunch of stuff you can craft. Whoop. So yeah, let's go ahead and go grab that, and we'll get into the next step. And I'm going to grab some wood too. It's very easy. You just run around and punch a bunch of trees, but I'm going to try to condense this. That's not that interesting. And once you get a couple rocks, you can make yourself a stone axe. So I went ahead and threw down just some stuff here to get us started. So I'm going to grab my stone axe out. Put that on there. Normally you would just craft it. It requires 2 stone, 3 wood. Really easy to make. I'm going to go ahead and grab some of these resources that I already gathered. One of them was the berries. That's why... Hey. Dude. Chill. Come here. This is a grayling. This is like the lowest tier enemy you're going to fight. And right now, since I don't have a weapon, I'm just going to beat him with my fire stick because I find it amusing. Yes, I could hit him with my axe, but I'm going to be... I don't really use my torch that often, so I'll use up the durability on that versus the durability on my axe. So anyway, yeah, so I did find... Wow, I can't believe the sun's going down already. I should have started earlier. I did find some berries. They were right there behind the spawning stones. And this is one of the foods. If you notice the stats down there, the 2 things you want to take a look at the most are what it adds to your health and your stamina. Early on, your foods of choice are going to be berries, mushrooms if you can find them, and probably meat from killing boars and whatnot. Those are your typical 3 early game foods. Later on, you'll be able to craft those into better foods. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and eat this. Now, there's 2 ways you can do that. You can put it on your hotbar and just hit the button. I typically don't put my food on the hotbar. You can just right-click on it. If you see down here, it jumped up a little bit. This isn't a very strong food, so this is just... It's going to last for 600 seconds, and it's going to give us +1 healing a second. So that's kind of nice. But it also gives us 10 health and 20 stamina. In early game, stamina is... Well, both health and stamina are hard to get, but stamina tends to be more noticeable, at least on my end. I try to avoid damage if I can. Alright, what's he want us to do? Be wary of the weather. When the temperature drops at night, or if you are wet, you will suffer from being cold. This reduces your stamina regeneration. Seeking shelter by an open flame is your best option when this happens. Alright. So I just went ahead and kind of threw a workbench down in here to take advantage of this building, just to start. But I will go into... I'm going to try to make it day first. So we're going to go ahead and throw down a bed. I think this has to be covered for me to actually use it, doesn't it? Yep. Bed needs a roof. Sleep the night away in your bed and awaken feeling refreshed and full of energy. And other improvements to your home would be such chests where you can store equipment. Yes, I already have some down. Okay. So let me get a couple ceilings up. I'll explain more of this crafting once we get it light out. It's kind of dark right now. Let's see, is that enough? No, get out of my bed, bro. Oh, there's enemies nearby. Is it because you're in my bed? Oh, that's right. We need a fire first. Can't have a comfy house without a fire. Alright. Oh, don't catch yourself on fire. No one saw that. Let's just go to bed. No one saw that. Shh. There's no fire. Alright. Once again, you run at the head of your warriors, the weight of your father's axe in your hand. You awake with the war cry on your lips. Oh, a little bit of like kind of lore, dreams. All right, it's morning, very early morning. All right, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the rested buff because that's something you should be trying to get right away and keep it up at all times. If you notice up in the top right near the fire, it says rested and it has a timer. There is a buff you can get, and let me see. Oh, darn, you know what? This is a bad place for the fire. Let me move this fire. This is going to make me look so bad. I'm going to keep getting on fire. All right. Oh, walk up and pick up the rocks. All right, so if you're near a fire, you can press X to sit down, and you'll see in the top right that I'm resting. After a certain amount of time, I believe it's probably like 15, 20 seconds, something like that, you'll get this buff, and it's called rested. And I'll show you what that means. Right now, we've got a 7-minute buff, and that was just from the duration of sleeping. We automatically picked it up since we were near the fire. Boom. Okay, so we've got an 8-minute buff. Now what this does, I'll show you real quick. We'll go in here, active effects. So, resting, and that's just this for us sitting next to a fire. This is just something we get. We get 200% health regen and 300% stamina regen just for being at home. So if you happen to be low health, you can just throw down a fire if you're not near combat, and you can heal from that. But the rested bonus is what we want for when we're just pretty much doing anything. So you get a 50% bonus to your health regen, and then 100% bonus to your stamina regen. That is very, very nice to have. And you can pretty much get that at any time as long as you're able to make a fire. There's a few places, maybe indoors, that you can't make a fire. They have to be placed on the ground. So you definitely want to make a fire at any point you can. All right, so now that it's daytime, let's see what he wants to tell us now. So I built a workbench. Yep, I had put one down just before the video started. And so now that we have the workbench, basically, here, I'll show you actually. So if I'm over here, away from that workbench, oh, someone's going to want to fight. All right. Just getting jealous of our little base over there, huh? I think that's what it is. I don't know what he wanted to do. He couldn't make up his mind. All right, so if we're over here, and I go into my build menu, you'll notice if I want to craft anything to like build a base, it's all grayed out. And if you look at the bottom, the requirements, the workbench is flashing. Basically, it's saying that there's no workbench with where we're standing. Once we build a workbench, it will plop down. You see that circle? It gives us a build area everywhere in that circle, and it also goes above and below as well. Oh, that's right. You can't build right next to the spawn point, I think is the problem. Yeah, there we go. So once you plop it down, anywhere in here, you can start placing base pieces. So let's go ahead and throw down, since this is where you spawn, let's just go ahead and throw this down. I highly recommend that you start off in a meadow or a prairie area. Well, they're called meadows, but one of these open fields. It gives you a better line of sight. Less mobs are going to spawn around you. You can go into the Black Forest. Those are the two main zones that you're going to start off with. But Black Forest tends to spawn some more aggressive mobs. There's more greylings and some gray dwarves there. So it's just safer here. The only thing you really have to worry about is the occasional grayling and maybe an occasional pig that gets frisky. So, all right, so this is your build menu. Let's go ahead and throw down just a very basic base, and I'll kind of guide you through how to build this. So there's a couple ways you can start this. If you have a fairly flat spot, we can just go ahead and start with some flooring. Actually, I can't build that close, so let's actually do something real quick. Dude, I didn't need your help building, really. Oh, I just broke my torch. Alright, so I guess we'll have dinner. Thanks, bud. Alright, so let's go ahead and go back up here so I can use the workbench. That's another thing. They need to be underneath a roof to activate, so you can actually use them to craft more things. I'm going to make a hoe. Hoe just requires 2 stone, 5 wood. This will help you get a handle on... I'm going to make a club too, since my torch broke. Alright, so now that we have a hoe, and I'll show you what I mean by that one being active and this one not. This one's just out and about. You get the crafting zone, so you can actually craft out here as far as the building pieces, but it doesn't allow you to craft anything on the bench or repair off it. That's why I ran back to the other one. But this one will give us an area to work with. So being that this area isn't the smoothest, as you can see, it's actually quite hilly here, but we're going to fix that. We're going to equip our hoe here. As you can see, we have level ground as my default. If I right click, we have a couple different options. We can raise ground, we can make a path, or we can level it. So let's just go ahead and go back to level ground and just click a few times. One nice thing about this, not only does it tend to level the ground pretty well, but it takes the grass away. Nothing's more irritating than coming home and seeing that you've got grass clipping through your floor. I mean, if you're like me anyway. Now this does use your stamina. You can see my yellow bar there runs out if I click too much. But I do have the rested buff, so it does regen pretty decently. So I'm just running along here, just trying to get a nice flat area to work with. And from what I gather, and I haven't done extensive testing on this, but from what I gather, from what people have said, it tends to level from the elevation you're standing on. So if I'm standing here and I click up here, it's going to try to bring that down closer to my level. Obviously, it's probably going to take some manipulation, being that there's such a big difference here. But if I click over on this side, see, it clips down a lot quicker. So If I was to go stand down, say down at this lower elevation and click, see now it's trying to bring it down to that side. So that's just something to keep in mind. So it kind of raises it back up. I might need to fill in a little bit. But anyway, this has given us a little bit of room to work with. These little rocks we can't clear yet. Unfortunately, you don't get the ability to break up rocks till you a little bit further in the game. I won't spoil it just yet. So anyway, let's go ahead and go into our building menu. So there's a couple different ways we can do it. We can start off and kind of like elevate our build, put it up on walls, and build floors out from the walls. But there is structural integrity in this game, so you tend to want to build everything on the ground as much as possible. So what I'll do is I'm going to grab a floor, just get a general idea of the direction we want to build. So I'm going to go with something like this. Just put a floor down, snap another one to it, and I'm just left clicking. Sometimes you have to come over and look at the other face. Just going out. Now this is the perfect time to show you about structural stability. So if you notice when I hover over these, this one's blue, this one's blue. Oh, hey buddy, I don't need your help either. Okay, so he wanted to criticize and we haven't even got started. All right, so if you notice, we've got blue, blue, still blue, then it goes to green, then it goes to a brighter green. Now what that's doing is it's losing structural stability. And the reason for that, if you can see here, we're not on the ground. It's actually hovering over the ground. So if I keep going out here and trying to snap more out into space, well, this one is close enough that it got stability from here. It's actually thinks it's attached to the ground again. But if I was to come out this direction, instead, see it continually gets darker. This one may fall, or does it take one more? If it's red, I think it's just about ready to break. I think this last one's going to break. Yep, right there. So as you see, we can only go a few floors and we lose any stability. And if you were to try to build up on to this, everything would collapse. So, and I'm just pressing middle mouse button to delete the pieces. The one really nice thing about this game, unlike most survival games, is when you're building something, if you misplace something or it doesn't look right and you want to adjust it and you delete that item, you get 100% of the items back. Now they may fall in place, you may have to run over there and like collect them, but you will get all your resources back. So that's really nice. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and raise the ground underneath this one here. Boom. So now it's blue again. With the raising the ground there, it was able to help support that. And I believe we're going to be close enough to this wall that these are still going to support, but I'm going to come out this way, and it's probably going to need more. So let's just go ahead. I don't know how much wood I've got here. Not a whole lot. I'm just going to make a small little base for now. Something like that. I will work on the rest of this later. I'm going to keep the wood so we can work more on this side. All right, so you've got yourself a little box, and this is perfectly fine. I mean, everyone starts off with boxes. There are some really cool buildings you can make in this game, but right off the bat, it's all about function, right? So start off, throw some walls down. I mean, you could get away with like a 2x2, but honestly, anything smaller than a 3x3, in my opinion, is very claustrophobic. But you may be okay with something smaller. But I like at least a 3x3. Gives you a little bit of room to walk around in. Alright, buddy. All these critics. This is a rough neighborhood. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw down. So those are just walls. And walls have two different sides. You can have more of a smooth side, or the side that's a little more rough. It's got some slats on it. You got typical floors. I'm going to go ahead and put down a door. Now there's two different kinds of doors. There's the wood door, which is like the generic normal door. And then there's a gate door, which you can see is quite a bit bigger. I prefer the gate door on most of my builds just because it just looks better on bigger builds. But for starting off, the normal door is just fine. Unfortunately, right now, they don't have standalone windows. I'm hoping that's going to be fixed, and it looks like I clipped the door a little bit too far in. So let's put this over here. And we'll go back. Oops. Yeah, this door. Put the door there. All right. And I'm going to have to go get some more wood. I can already see that. Wood cutting at the beginning of the game is very slow. But this will give me a perfect example to show you guys as far as the dangers of going into the forest. So I'm going to go ahead and eat another one of these. Gives us some more health, some more stamina. I'm also going to go back and get my rested buff. So let me grab some of these berries here. You can always use more berries. Alright, so let's run back where the fire is. And try not to catch on fire this time. Alright. So if I sit down next to the fire. Whoop, I bumped my mic. Alright, so as you can see, I'm resting again. And after a little bit, we should get our rested buff. Especially early game, before you get the foods and stuff to really boost your stamina. It is very crucial to try to keep this rested buff up as much as possible. It's a huge quality of life improvement. So I'm going to go ahead and chop this tree. We need wood, and it's kind of in the way. There we go. So go ahead and chop these two. We're going to build a standalone base, but this little one's just going to be kind of storage for now. Alright, so we got trees to chop, right? Let's just go to one. So we're chopping. And we're chopping. Keep in mind, this is a primitive stone axe, and this is a pretty big tree. Alright, there we go. So the tree falls down. There's physics in this game, obviously, and gravity. These logs can very easily kill you. There are a lot of people, I'd say probably over 50% of the people that die in the early game, it's probably from logging accidents. So just keep smacking the log here. Eventually, it'll break into 2 slots. Now, in every different tree I have cut down that I recall, they always go down in 1 log, and then you split them into 2. And then you hit the logs again. Whoop. Sometimes you have to get in a certain height, because if you're kind of on the same height, occasionally you'll just swing over top. So there's sometimes you may have to adjust your position just a little bit. Doesn't happen all the time. That's one of the most requested changes that they're asking the devs for right now. And keep in mind, this game has been out for just like over a week. So anyway, one of the most requested changes is increasing the vertical height of our swings to be easier to connect with different things, you know, creatures and trees. But let's see if we can get a good example on a tree. Look at all those branches. That's a lot of branches on the ground. Alright. So as you can see, that is a big tree. It's hitting other trees, which are falling down, which are hitting other trees. Oh, I was hoping for more than 2. But yeah, as you can see, they can be fun. Man, that's a big tree. But we still just got 2 logs. They're just bigger logs. Oh, and yeah, they can roll into you. They can very easily kill you, so be careful of that. I still someday want to try out a base defense with like big tall walls, and then I'd plant trees on top, and then if anything came, I could cut the trees down and have them fall down on my enemies. Maybe I'll try that in one of my videos. Right now I'm working on tree houses and such, but anyway, let's go ahead and cut this guy down. See how many logs and wood we came out with. Oh yeah, and this is another tier up of wood. This is birch, and as you see, it won't let us cut that down. That's kind of a way they do the progression. You've got these normal beech trees, then you've got the birch, and another critic. What is it? Because what are you doing? We're okay. Okay, no, now you're upset. Make up your mind, buddy. Sometimes they'll like aggro on you, and then they decide to just run off. It's like, okay, don't start anything you can't back it up, buddy. I mean, come on. Anyway, so what were we talking about? I think we were talking about the logs and whatnot. So anyway, so you have birch trees. Once we get into the metal, the copper, and the bronze, we will start to be able to cut down the harder trees. There is birch, then there's pine and oak. You don't see oak too often, but I believe it's still on the same tier as pine and birch. And then there's swamp trees as well. but that'll be something way down the road. So I always go and grab any mushrooms or berries I see because that's basically your only food. When you're starting off, it's hard to kill any of the animals except maybe the boars because they'll come at you. Trying to kill a deer unless they get stuck is really hard till you get a couple tools. So, all right, we're back. Let's see. We came out with a little over a stack. That should allow us to finish it. Let us finish our house. Get, shoo. Shoo, go. All right, well, he's a critic too. So let's go ahead and get this going. I'm just going to throw on just a basic roof for now. Nothing too fancy. If I had more resources, I'd make this too high so it wasn't quite so claustrophobic, but we're just going to throw this on if... Yeah, okay, that works. I'm just throwing some corner pieces on here. Then I'm going to throw a wall there, and 26 degrees is the ones I'm using. Wait, something doesn't look right. What's not snapped right? That one's not snapped right. I knew something looked off. So let's see. Let's delete that one. Wait, that doesn't look right either. What are you doing to me, buddy? Yeah, okay, snapped. Snap, and a 26. There we go. I'm going to leave this backside open because that's where I'm going to put the fire. I'll explain here why in just a second. Alright, let's put a little roof piece there. Just turn it around. It's not the perfect fit, but allow for some ventilation. And then I'm going to put a 26 up. Like that. Okay, now that's going to look a little goofy, and you're going to say, why do you build like that? Why don't you close the roof? Well, we need a fire, and this game's got a really cool mechanic that the fire puts off smoke, which would, sounds reasonable, right? Well, as far as I know, this is the only survival game I've ever played where the smoke can actually kill you. Actually, we got to delete that because it has to be placed on the ground. So we're going to put it there. Now, a neat little trick is you can actually snap the floor back over top of it, except I'd have to raise the ground. Let's do that. Let's go ahead and delete it. Switch to the hoe. Raise ground once. No, that's too high. We might be at that weird in-between. Or no, looks like now that I put it back down, it's at the right height, so it should work. Why do I not have my stone? Where'd my stone go? I should have had stone. How do I not have my stone? Huh. You normally always get your stuff back. I've never seen that happen. That is very odd. Oh, shoot. I used the stone to raise the ground. I forgot it cost stones. So let's just go ahead and demo this one. And I'll use the stones from that guy. So we need to move everything in here anyway. And I'm definitely going to put some steps in, aren't I? Alright, so we put the deal down there. And then I believe if I snap it back over, can we still interact with it? That away? Oh, I can catch fire though. So I'm just going to go ahead and take this off. That's fine. We just won't walk on it. So next thing we need is a workbench in here, right? So I'm going to put one like there, and I'm going to demo this one because we don't need that one since there's one inside. I'm going to go ahead and grab my bed and delete that too because we want it in our real building. And I'm really going to have to change this. I'm used to it being on 8. That's going to bug me if I keep trying to hit 8 throughout the whole video. Alright, so here we go. As you notice, the fire's on, but we're not dying. And I'm going to show you something real quick. Let me put this bed down. Put it over here like that. Shut that. I'm going to go ahead and sleep so it starts getting light out. Maybe we'll get another... Oh, here we go. In your dream, you sit beside a fire. Hey, it was a fire. In a great hall, surrounded by the chatter of familiar voices. Faces blur like smoke. Oh, I missed it. I gotta learn to read faster. Alright, so here we are. Now, if I had closed this... Let me see if I can get over here without catching myself on fire. Okay, so if I was to fill this just like a normal roof... Just flip it around. Boom. Okay, so this is just how it was. And I'm just chilling in here, doing my own thing. No biggie. Well, if you notice up there, I'm starting to take damage. And it's getting really smoky in here. And I'm dying. I need to get outside. Look at that. I took over half my health just in a couple seconds. The reason for that, as you can see, smoke has to have a way of getting out. And I think that's the coolest thing. It's a simple thing, but I have yet to see any other game do that, which I think is pretty cool. So anyway, we're going to flip this, which is going to allow the smoke to get out. You could just delete it, but if it rains, it will actually put the fire out. So this allows it to protect it somewhat when it rains, and still allow you to have your fire. Now, if you wanted, you could do something fancy and like wall it up and put some beams around it to look nice and all that stuff. But this is a simple starter base. I'm not going to worry about it looking too fancy, but I am going to put a set of stairs in to make it easier for us to get in and out of. All right, buddy. There we go. Look at that. So now we have our own little base. It's still a little... Okay, there it goes. I had a little bit of a smoked. So now that I have comfort level 4, and I'll explain a little bit about comfort level while I redo my buff. So if you remember earlier in the video, I was getting the comfort level 1 just for an outdoor fire. I wasn't indoors under cover, and I wasn't near the bed. For that, you get an 8-minute buff. For each level above, you get an extra minute. So from 8 minutes, we're now up to, if you go 8, 9, 10, 11, 3 more, which as you can see, comfort 1 to comfort level 4. That's 3 higher. The reason for that, so you get, for some reason, comfort level 2 doesn't seem to be a thing. It just kind of jumps to comfort level 3. Each one of these items adds a comfort level. So if I was to take the bed away, it would be comfort level 3. If I was to put the bed in, it would go up to 4. There are other decorations and seats and whatnot, stools, rugs, all sorts of things that can increase your comfort level. For each one of those comfort levels that goes up, it gives you a longer buff. So that's kind of neat. Allows you to get a longer buff while you're home. So something to keep in mind. So, all right. So we've got the basics down. So I believe we'll end the video here. And I will move on to your next goals, what you should be looking for progressing into your approximately probably your second day. So I will see you next time.